While I was giving birth, my husband cheated on me with my sister. It's funny how things change in an instant. One moment, I was excitedly counting contractions, gripping Sam's hand in a blend of nerves and excitement as we prepared to welcome our first child. The next, everything I thought I knew about my marriage and my family was shattered. But let me back up. The night it all started was just like any other. I'd been on bed rest for a week, my swollen belly heavy with the baby we'd been dreaming about for years. My sister, Lucy, had practically moved in to help us out, bringing over dinners and cleaning up while Sam was at work. I thought it was out of love, an older sister's way of looking out for her little sister. But, as I found out later, Lucy had her own reasons for staying so close. The contractions started around midnight. They were faint at first, a gentle pressure that seemed more like a warning than the real thing. I nudged Sam, my heart pounding. "Sam, I think it's time." He bolted upright, half asleep but fully alert. "Now? Are you sure?" I nodded, grinning despite the pain. "I think so. It's happening." "Oh my God," he breathed, running a hand through his hair. All right, we need to call Lucy. She'll help us get you to the hospital." I found it sweet that he wanted to involve my sister in this. Lucy and I had been close ever since we were kids, and she and Sam had become like best friends over the years. They were both loud and charismatic, the kind of people who could walk into any room and light it up. I never minded their closeness, until later. I called Lucy, and she arrived 15 minutes later, already dressed, her dark hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked at me with a mixture of excitement and concern. "Is this it?" she asked, her eyes wide. "Yes," I laughed, clutching my belly as another contraction rippled through me. "It's really happening." Lucy smiled and squeezed my hand. "Oh, Mia, I'm so happy for you. You're going to be an amazing mom." "Thanks, Lucy," I said, touched. "And you'll be the best aunt ever." She glanced at Sam, who was rushing around grabbing our bags and triple-checking everything. "He's nervous," she whispered, smirking. "He's been nervous since the day I told him I was pregnant." Sam heard us and rolled his eyes. "Nervous? I'm just making sure we don't forget anything, all right?" We piled into the car, Sam driving us to the hospital while Lucy sat beside me, rubbing my back and helping me breathe through the contractions. I felt so lucky to have both of them by my side, so wrapped up in love and support that it never crossed my mind that something darker could be lurking beneath the surface. The delivery room was a blur of bright lights and unfamiliar faces. Nurses and doctors bustled around, murmuring instructions I could barely process through the haze of pain. Sam held my hand, his face pale, his eyes wide as he kept glancing from me to the monitors. "You're doing amazing, Mia," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "I'm so proud of you." Through the agony, I managed a small smile. We're doing this, Sam. Our baby's almost here." He nodded, brushing a tear from his eye. I could see the joy, the pride, the love radiating from him. In that moment, I was certain I'd never felt closer to him. But when I needed him most, Sam suddenly let go of my hand. "I'll be right back," he murmured, looking at his phone. "I just need to step outside for a second." "What?" I gasped, my heart sinking. "Now. I need you here." "I won't be long," he promised, giving me a quick kiss on the forehead. "I'll be back before you know it." And then he was gone. I tried not to panic, tried to focus on the nurses and their words of encouragement. Lucy had followed us to the hospital but stayed outside, texting me little updates to say she was there if I needed her. Just as I was about to ask one of the nurses to find Sam, Lucy stepped into the delivery room, her face twisted with worry. "What's wrong?" she asked, glancing around. "Where's Sam?" He stepped out," I stammered, fighting back tears. "Lucy, I don't know what's going on." She bit her lip, looking away. "Maybe he just needed a breather. It's It's a lot, you know. First time dad and all. Something about her tone sounded off, but before I could press her, another contraction hit, forcing me to focus on the task at hand. I couldn't think about anything else but getting through the pain, about bringing our baby safely into the world. 3 hours later, I held our beautiful baby girl in my arms. She was tiny, pink, and perfect, her tiny hands wrapped around my finger. I looked down at her, overwhelmed with love, and with the painful realization that Sam still hadn't come back. I looked up at Lucy, who had stayed by my side through it all. Where is he, Lucy?" Lucy's face crumpled, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Mia, I think you should know the truth. About Sam." "What are you talking about?" I whispered, fear twisting in my stomach. She took a deep breath, looking at the floor as if the weight of her confession was too much to bear. "Mia. Sam and I. We've been seeing each other." The room spun around me, my mind struggling to process what she was saying. "No," I choked out. "No, Lucy. You wouldn't. Sam wouldn't." She reached out, tears streaming down her face. "Mia, I'm so sorry. It started a few months ago. I never meant for it to happen, but—" I shook my head, cutting her off. "So where is he now?" I demanded, my voice thick with anger. "Where's Sam?" "He left," she whispered, barely able to meet my gaze. "He left with me. We were supposed to be together, but I couldn't go through with it. I realized I couldn't leave you like that, not now." The pain of childbirth was nothing compared to the agony ripping through my chest. "So you just left me here? While I was giving birth to our child?" Lucy's face crumpled, and she fell to her knees beside me. "Mia, please. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please try to understand." "Understand?" I cried, clutching my baby to my chest as if she could somehow protect me from the betrayal. "Lucy, you're my sister. How could you do this to me? How could he?" She sobbed, her voice barely a whisper. I thought I loved him. But when I saw you here, with your daughter, I realized I'd made the worst mistake of my life." I turned away, unable to look at her. "Get out, Lucy. I can't even stand to look at you right now." She hesitated, her hand reaching out as if to touch me, but I pulled away, my heart hardening with every second. Finally, she stood and left, her footsteps echoing down the hallway as she disappeared from my life. In the days that followed, I stayed in the hospital, recovering both physically and emotionally. I couldn't believe what had happened, couldn't wrap my head around the betrayal that had ripped my family apart. I called Sam once, just to hear his side, but he never answered. It was a few weeks later, after I'd returned home, that I finally got a message from him. "Mia, I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me, but please know that I regret everything. I'll always be there for our daughter, if you'll let me." I read the message over and over, the words blurring as tears filled my eyes. I wanted to hate him, to scream and shout, but instead, I just felt hollow. The man I thought I'd spend my life with was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized. I put my phone down, exhaling a shaky breath, and turned back to my daughter, Emily, who lay sleeping peacefully in her crib. In that tiny, serene face, I saw a glimmer of hope, the promise of a future that could still be good. She hadn't asked for any of this. She hadn't asked to be brought into a world of betrayal and heartbreak. And if I had anything to do with it, she would never feel the weight of that world. I stroked her cheek softly, marveling at her innocence, her peace. "It's you and me now, Emily," I whispered. "We'll get through this, I promise." Over the next few weeks, I tried to rebuild some semblance of normalcy. My parents visited often, sensing I needed support, though I never told them the full truth. I didn't want them to look at me with pity, didn't want them to think less of Sam, or worse, of Lucy. Despite everything, I wasn't ready to destroy their image of the family. For now, at least, the truth would stay between the three of us. One rainy afternoon, about a month after Sam's message, my phone rang. I saw Lucy's name on the screen, and for a moment, I considered ignoring it. But then, a strange determination filled me. Maybe I was finally ready to hear what she had to say. Maybe I needed to hear it. I picked up. "Hello?" There was a pause, a moment of silence on the other end before she spoke. Her voice was small, tentative. "Mia. It's me." "I know," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you want, Lucy?" "I know I don't deserve to ask for your forgiveness," she began, her voice breaking. "But I need you to know how sorry I am. I think about what I did every day, and I—" "Stop," I interrupted, closing my eyes as a wave of anger surged through me. "I don't want to hear how sorry you are, Lucy. I want to understand why. You were my sister. You're supposed to be my family. How could you do that to me?" She let out a shaky breath. "I don't know, Mia. I really don't. It's like I became someone else. Someone I don't even recognize. I can't explain it, and I don't expect you to understand. I need you to know I regret it." "Regret it?" I spat, bitterness lacing my words. "You regret it now, after it's all over? Lucy, you watched me go through months of pregnancy, of preparation, of joy, and all that time, you were sneaking around with my husband?" The line was silent for a moment before she spoke, barely above a whisper. "Yes," she admitted. "I was selfish. I wanted something that wasn't mine to have. I didn't think about you, about what I was doing to you. And for that, I am so sorry." I pressed my hand to my forehead, feeling the weight of her words sink in. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to believe that she was truly remorseful. But the pain was still so raw, like an open wound that refused to heal. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Lucy," I said finally, my voice thick with emotion. "I don't even know if I can look at you." She choked back a sob. "I understand. I miss you, Mia. You're my sister, and I miss you every day." "Sisters don't do this to each other," I replied coldly. "Sisters don't destroy each other's lives." I hung up, the tears coming hot and fast now, streaming down my face as I let myself feel the full weight of her betrayal. She had been my closest friend, my confidant, my family. And now, she was nothing but a stranger to me. The months rolled on, and I poured everything I had into raising Emily. She became my light, my reason to get up in the morning. Sam kept his word, sending money and checking in periodically to see how she was doing, but I never let him back into my life. When he visited Emily, I stayed in the other room, letting him have his time with her but keeping my distance. One day, on Emily's first birthday, I received an unexpected knock at the door. I opened it to find Sam standing there, holding a small wrapped gift and a bouquet of flowers. He looked older, wearier, as though the weight of his choices had finally caught up to him. "Hi, Mia," he said softly, his voice almost tentative. "What are you doing here, Sam?" I asked, crossing my arms. "It's Emily's birthday," he replied, glancing past me to where our daughter was playing in the living room. "I wanted to be here for her. And I wanted to talk to you, if you'll let me." I hesitated, every instinct telling me to turn him away. But something in his eyes made me stop. There was a sincerity there, a regret I hadn't seen before. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside and let him in. He set the gift on the table, glancing around the room as if he were seeing it for the first time. "You've done a great job with her, Mia. She's beautiful." "Thanks," I said, keeping my tone guarded. "So what is it you wanted to say?" He took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. "Mia, I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know I ruined everything, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But I wanted you to know that I'm trying to change. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand why I did what I did. And if there's any part of you that could ever consider forgiving me, I'd do whatever it takes to make things right." I looked at him, my mind flashing back to all the moments we'd shared, the life we'd built together. There had been so much love, so much joy, and yet, in one moment, he had thrown it all away. "Forgiving you?" I repeated, shaking my head. "Sam, I can't just forget what you did. You betrayed me when I needed you most. You broke our family. How am I supposed to forgive that?" He nodded, his face crumpling. "I know. And I know that I might never be able to make it up to you. But I had to try, for Emily's sake. I want her to have both her parents, to know that we can still be a family, even if it's not in the way I'd hoped." A family. The word felt foreign, almost laughable, considering the pain he'd caused. But as I looked at Emily, at her innocent smile, I knew that I wanted her to grow up with love, not resentment. Maybe forgiveness wasn't something I could give him today, but perhaps one day, I could find a way to let go of the anger that had been eating away at me. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Sam," I said, my voice steady. "But for Emily's sake, I'm willing to try to move forward. That doesn't mean we'll be together again, but it means that I'll let you be in her life. I won't punish her for your mistakes." He nodded, a look of relief washing over his face. "Thank you, Mia. That means more than you'll ever know." As he left, I closed the door behind him, feeling a strange sense of peace settle over me. I knew it would take time to heal, to truly let go of the betrayal that had changed everything. But in that moment, I felt a small glimmer of hope, a hope that maybe, just maybe, I could build a new life for myself and Emily, a life filled with strength, resilience, and love. In the years that followed, I found myself again. I went back to school, pursued my passions, and eventually, I found love in an unexpected place, with someone who taught me that love didn't have to hurt, that it could be gentle, kind, and unwavering. And as for Sam and Lucy, they faded into the background of my life, mere memories of a painful chapter I had finally left behind. But whenever I looked at Emily, I was reminded of the strength it took to overcome, to rebuild, and to keep going. She was my light, my reason, and through her, I discovered a resilience I never knew I had. In the end, I realized that forgiveness wasn't about them, it was about freeing myself. And in that freedom, I found a happiness I had never thought possible.